Getting paper on these player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of I'm Not Gonna Hold You, man. It is season 3, episode 17. It's your host, Scott, per usual, man. We here. Big, massive week in sports. Of course, it's a Super Bowl week, of course, so we got a lot of stuff to get into. This might be a long episode because we got the Super Bowl to talk about, and of course, the extremely long NBA trade deadline that just ended this afternoon. It was a lot of deals that went by. So definitely got a lot to go and get into, man. You know to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at BarberChair Scott. You know to follow the Barbers Chat Network on Twitter and IG at Barbers Chat Net. Follow H&B Media at H&B Media TV on Twitter and at H&B Media on Instagram. Subscribe to the Barbers Chat Network. Patreon.com/Barbers Chat Network. Get all your different type of tiers on there. $5 tier, $10 tier, man. We got a new episode of Cinema with you guys up and a new episode of Summer Sessions up as well. So go check all of that shit out. But let's start off with my sound off. We got a lot of stuff to get into. So let's get this out of the way. Want to give a salute to LeBron James for becoming the NBA's all-time scoring leader. This past Tuesday against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Shout out to everybody who blew my mentions up with my tweet that I tweeted back in October where I said that he was going to break the record while down 18 to the Oklahoma City Thunder. No, I am not Negro Dominus. No, I do not know how much you should bet on whatever team this week for the fucking Super Bowl. No, I don't know anything that's going to happen in the future, but I appreciate all the engagements, man. But LeBron, man, he did it. Everybody knew he was going to do it. He was 36 points away coming into this game. I personally thought that maybe he was going to wait for tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks. And, of course, he's not even playing tonight, which means he's hungover. There's no ankle. He's hungover. I'd be hungover 2 days, and he's 4 years older than me, so I can only imagine what he's feeling like after a night of drinking a couple days ago. But it's incredible. It's incredible for a record that I don't think anybody thought was going to be broken, especially me. I really didn't think we were going to see anybody break this record. This record has been alive for 39 years. I mean, this record is 4 years older than I am. So, you know what I'm saying? This record is older than LeBron. LeBron wasn't even here, wasn't even born when this record first got broken in 1984 with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar broke the record that Will Chamberlain had at the moment. So, man, and to see everything that LeBron's done coming back from, just being the most hyped athlete prospect in high school ever of any sport, coming back to, I remember the first time I heard about LeBron was either 2000 or 2001. And, not only did he meet expectations, he fucking shattered it. I mean, he has done everything. He has been just a complete basketball player. I think he is, we've never seen a player be as great as he has been this long in basketball. And the only other player I could think about doing it, obviously Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but even Kareem towards the end of his career, he wasn't doing what LeBron is doing. So really the only comparable is Tom Brady. Tom Brady won MVP in a couple championships in his 40s. And that's something, LeBron hasn't done, but that's probably the only comparable thing. And of course, when you have records like this that are broken records that you never thought would be broken, and just everything he's accomplished in his career, being on 3 different franchises, bringing a championship to all 3 of these franchises. He's already top 5 in assists. Now, he's not going to, break the assist record because he's 5,000 behind just the top 3. You know what I'm saying? That just shows you how incredible John Stockton was. John Stockton won 9 assist titles, but he is going to have pretty much every record that you can have by the time he calls it quits. Well, if I had to guess, it'd probably be 3-4 years from now, because we all know he's hell-bent on playing with his son, Bronny. He's going to get 40,000 points. I mean, it's just not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Especially if he continues on the pace he is right now. So he's going to have his own legacy. And, of course, this goes into the GOAT conversation that everybody likes to talk about. Who's the GOAT? Is it LeBron? Is it Jordan? Da-da-da-da-da. Now, for me, it's going to always be Michael Jeffrey Jordan. There's really nothing that LeBron can do to change my opinion. I think that that ship has sailed with all those finals losses, and for me personally. But I do think it's something where he's going to have his own legacy, and I think by far he's the best player of his generation. I don't even think that's really a discussion. It's really not up for debate. He's by far. And for people who I've personally seen hoop with my own 2 eyes, I got him as number 2 in my top 5 list, he's probably still he might be number 2. You might 2, 3 somewhere in there. I mean, you can go back and forth with him and Kareem. I mean, Kareem has more championships, more finals MVPs and things like that. So it's kind of a debate, but it really which way you want to switch it. But at the worst, he's top 3. But this is something where he's going to have his own legacy where nobody's going to be able to say that, hey, I did it for 20 plus years at a level that nobody in this sport has ever done. I'm going to have every record that's ever out there. And when it does come for these GOAT conversations, which is only for the media and for us fans to have this conversation, I don't think the players really care that too much about it. I mean, even LeBron said it on Tuesday when he broke the record. That's for the fans' media debate, and of course, Michael Jordan said it 20 years ago when he retired in his interview with I think it was my man who's a legendary. My name is escaping right now. Former Georgetown coach. I'm bad with names right now, but former Georgetown coach. He had the interview with him, and he basically said he feels like it's disrespectful with the rest of the game by putting himself on time. John Thompson, thank you, Pappy, for that. John Thompson, who had the interview with Mike 20 years ago, right when he retired, and it just really just shows you just really the evolution of the game to really just see how incredible we've had all these different players. And if you're a guy like me who in your 30s, you've been blessed to see guys like LeBron James play. You've been blessed to see guys like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan. In football, Tom Brady, Deion Sanders. In baseball, Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds. We've seen pretty much all the greats. Can't forget about Serena Williams. Can't forget about Tiger Woods. And it's just really to be able to see a guy at this moment. And y'all know me. I'm not a LeBron James fan. I'm not going to sit up here and fake the funk. I don't like him as a player, like at all. I'm not a fan. I'm not going to sit up here and lie. But you got to give credit where credit is due at the end of the day. And I'm like, I'm going to give him his time. You got to applaud this man for what he's done, man. So that's really all I have to say about LeBron. Love to him. We will get into all the deals that his team made in just a second. In fact, we're going to have Pavi join me as we're going to talk about the NBA trade deadline, man. So let's get right into that. Pavi, man, what's up? You ready? Let's go.
What's up, bro? How you feeling?
Pav, how you doing, bro? You doing good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How you?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great, man. It's been a busy day in the association, man. Probably the most chaotic trade deadline that I've seen in a while. I feel like you can say that every year because it's one thing that the NBA does do. They're really great with the off-court storylines, I guess. I just want the games to be a little better, but that's a discussion for another day. And to have a week where the Super Bowl is Super Bowl week and we're sitting up here talking about basketball, pretty much every show's led off of basketball. We're leading this show off of basketball. Let's just get right into it. The trade that really shook the world last night, Kevin Durant to the Phoenix Suns, man. Him and TJ Warren have been traded for Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, who was traded to Milwaukee for 5 second-rounders later on in the day, 4 first-rounders, and a 2028 pick swap. Now, last night I was at Crypto.com Arena, or Staples Center as I still call it, for Kyrie Irving's debut, and we were in the media room waiting for Kyrie to come, which took him about 45 minutes. But, he pulled a Justin Fields last night. It took fucking forever. But as we were waiting, there was somebody behind me. I don't know if it was Vincent Goodwill from Yahoo Sports or my man Darius who was there, who was like, oh, shit. And he's like, KD just went to the Suns. And it was this real pandemonium in the entire media room, man. What's your initial thoughts when you found out about, of course, we text you in the group chat. What's your initial thoughts and how you think this helps both teams?
My initial thoughts were, what? Huh? And then I looked at the deal and I was like, they kept Aiden? And what do you mean they get TJ Warren? Like, you get more? Those were my initial thoughts. Then I actually because I was on my way out. So I was walking in, like, I was grabbing people like, yo, did you see shout out my homie Waz, saw Waz. We had we had talked about it. But once I actually like sat down and like got rid of the initial shock, obviously it's a good move. I don't think that this guarantees Phoenix wins a championship, but obviously their odds are much better than it was when they didn't have KD. If I have any questions about the Suns, I guess one, bench. I mean, it's not like they don't have NBA players on the bench. I mean, Damian Lee was leading the league in 3-point percentage. Campaign can play. They picked up Darius Bazley also as well for Saric. They still have Landry Shamet. So like my one question would be bench, and then also, I mean, you do got a whole bunch of old guys like KD is 34. He hasn't been the healthiest. Chris Paul 38 years old. He hasn't been the healthiest. Devin Booker this year himself hasn't been the healthiest. And then also you do also have 3 heavy isolation players. So I also wonder about their ability to run actual offense at times, and will they just get stuck in just trying to just beat everybody one on one? Because I mean, in a lot of games, they can probably actually get away with doing that. But as you get deeper and deeper and deeper, like let's say you get to the finals and you play a team like Boston, who can pretty much guard everything that you want to do, you can't just ISO your way to a championship. So I do have some questions, but I mean, you bring Kevin Durant. I mean, one of the main things I had said about Phoenix for a very long time was they had nobody else besides Chris Paul and Book that could dribble and shoot.
Yep.
You ain't got that problem now. You went from Mikal Bridges on the wing to Kevin Durant on the wing.
Yeah.
You ain't got the dribble and shoot problem no more at all. Well, I actually assume KD will probably be playing the 4 and Torian Craig will probably be starting at the 3, but still, you ain't got the same problem that you had the day before. And as far as the Nets, one, I think they probably just want to do right by KD.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, I think if you want to point fingers in this whole situation, I don't think KD is a person that you're pointing any fingers at. I mean, he did everything you asked of him. He can't help it. He got hurt, but he did everything pretty much that you asked of him, and it is a good deal. I mean, if you look at what they got from you got Bridges, who was I think runner-up defensive player of the year last year.
Yep.
You got you got Bridges, you got Cam Johnson, and you have 4 unprotected first-round picks.
Yeah.
And again, like I said,
that's the key right there.
Yes, and again, like I said, you got a whole bunch of old guys. 2029, we don't know if any of them still gonna be on that roster. So that 2029 pick might be one of the most valuable in the league in 2029. So I mean, hey, look, I think with the Nets, it was time that they basically just cut their losses, start over. And that's pretty much what they did. So I mean, honestly, I like the deal for both teams. Like I said, I don't think this ensures that the Suns are going to be NBA champions, but they do have a whole lot of a better chance than what they had 2 days ago.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. I think it's a both trade for it's a great trade for both parties. I mean, for KD, he's like I said, he's not to blame. I know a lot of people out there. Why are we not blaming KD? He's not to blame. He did his job. The blame is the guy we gonna talk about in a minute. Is his co-star. He's the one who blew all this shit up. But number one, James Harden was visionary. He got out of there quick. That's number one. Number two. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be depth issues, I believe, for the Suns. Chris Haynes just said that once Reggie Jackson reached a buyout with the Hornets, that he's probably going to be signing with the Suns. Now, we all know as 2 people who cover the Clippers, Reggie Jackson is Reggie Jackson, but, that'll be something for the Suns off the bench. But I feel like it's good they have to be the favorites just on paper, but I think we have to learn over this, 10 years of the super team era, that a lot of this shit don't play out sometimes how it's supposed to go. I mean, outside of the Warriors, which was the super team, which they did win 2 out of 3 and probably could have won 3 in a row if Clay and KD's knee didn't explode. But you have to see it on paper. There's only 28 games left. KD's still hurt right now, so we don't know what he's going to, when he's coming back. He's going to be reevaluated after All-Star break, so you got that. Like for all the things you just mentioned, you can look at Chris Paul and he pulls a fucking hamstring. Like, so that's something you got to worry about. Is DeAndre Ayton gonna play well? Is Book 100% healthy?
He'll be fine now. You got KD. All is forgiven.
Okay,
He'll be fine now.
But it's not even that. Just even on the court, like, are they going to use him well? This is something we were talking about 2 years ago in the finals against Giannis and them. So I feel like on paper they should be the favorite, but the West is deep as hell. So there's a lot of teams that's going to be in there, but I do think if KD and all the core can stay healthy, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, especially with a coach as good as Monty Williams. As far as Brooklyn, I know a lot of people's like, well, they should have got a start back. They should have at least got Aiden back. Yeah, probably, but I feel like they just want to start from scratch. I mean, they had every star under the sun these last couple of years with KD and Kyrie and Harden, and it just didn't work out. And they're like, let's just start from scratch and rebuild this how we should have rebuilt this. I don't think they have done a legit rebuild in a long time, because we can even go to 10 years ago and they brought that old-ass KD, Paul Pierce team together. So they've kind of been, either floating around or trying to chase a championship for over a decade. This is the first clean rebuild that we're going to see the Suns do in a long ass time. So I think it's just something that they just got to start over. And they have a team where, I feel like in the East, they're going to drop. Obviously, they're going to drop. And that's going to move up some other team. Maybe the Knicks will get up in there. Maybe Miami will go even higher because of, the Nets falling out. But I think it's a good deal for both parties, man. But let's get into the trade that started the whole trade deadline thing. Like, of course, a week ago, Kyrie Irving demanded a trade from the Brooklyn Nets, which kind of caught everybody by surprise because of how well Brooklyn was playing, how well Kyrie was playing, and Kyrie had actually been silent for a while. But it didn't take long. He got traded Sunday afternoon to the Dallas Mavericks for Spencer Dinwiddie, back in Brooklyn again, Dorian Finney-Smith, a 2029 first rounder, and 2 second rounders in 2027 and 2029. Now, last night was his debut. That was my first time watching Kyrie in person. I can say what I want to say about Kyrie. I always say I don't feel like Kyrie's a bad guy. I never thought that he was a bad guy. I just feel like sometimes in his head, things sound better than they do when it comes out his mouth. I think that's probably just the biggest issue with Kyrie. I don't think he is a terrible person. And in fact, he seemed cool to me yesterday when we was around him. But he is on a basketball court. He is fucking phenomenal. And you can just see offensively just how different that team is going to be. And when you add Luka to that team, yeah, everybody can talk about the defense, and yeah, you miss defense with Dorian Finney-Smith and things like that, but you still got to guard these dudes, and that's going to be hell. I think it's going to be just the compliment that Luka needed, and I even think that the Mavericks are going to be able to play them the same way that LeBron and Kyrie played in Cleveland, because obviously I'm not comparing Luka to LeBron, but Luka's kind of in that model where they can play in the same fashion, and I feel like coaching-wise, if we want to talk about coaches, just is there anybody out there who relates to point guards more than Jason Kidd? And I feel like that's going to be something that's going to help. And, like you said, the picks that the Nets got, they were just able to cut their losses. And if you look at everything the Lakers did, we'll get into that in a minute, it's really just a fuck you to the Lakers that Kyrie's not wearing a Lakers uniform, because obviously there was a way to get Kyrie to Los Angeles. But Joe Tsai and obviously Sean Marks just didn't want to give Kyrie his way like they did with Kevin Durant, man. But that's my view on it. What do you feel about Kyrie going to Dallas?
I actually don't think Kyrie to the Lakers was as realistic as people think it was, because I think the deal that they got from Dallas was actually a better deal. Number one, even when you look at everything that they got, I don't think this Nets team is bad. Now, obviously, they aren't going to win a championship, but I don't think they was going to win a championship regardless.
Yeah.
They could have had KD and Kyrie on the court and still lost to Cleveland. It could have happened. So I don't think they was going to win. I mean, even then we look at, Dorian Finney-Smith. You got Finney-Smith, Claxton, and Lord Jesus, if Ben Simmons can at least guard somebody, just at least if he could at least just guard somebody, you actually have a very solid front line defense. That's a pretty good front line defense. You add that with Mikal, with Spencer, I think they can at least, still make the playoffs, maybe, and at least have an interesting series with some. They won't win, but at least they can have an interesting. They'll probably still get swept or maybe win one game and have an interesting series. As far as Dallas goes, there is no. I think Kyrie got a better chance of winning a ring in Dallas than what he even had in Brooklyn. If you look at it, I mean, number one, when you look at the West, who finna guard them two?
Yeah,
Luka. Okay, we look at the Clippers, right? He took the Clippers to 7 by himself. He had by himself.
You went to the conference finals with Jalen Brunson.
Shout out Jalen Brunson doing his thing. Shout out Dinwiddie doing his thing. That is not Kyrie Irving. And they went 6 games with it was 6 games with the Warriors, right? 5 and 6.
Yep. It was
6.
It was 5. It was 5.
And the only reason why it kept going, they never got cooked. It just happened was Luka had to do a little bit too much.
Well, the closing game they got cooked. Game 5 they got cooked.
Yeah. Game 5 they got cooked. But the other 4 games they didn't really get cooked. So you add Kyrie Irving in this, and then also I think it takes a lot of weight off Luka's shoulders. I also think it'll help preserve his career some because he had to do a whole lot. And also I think Kyrie Irving isn't a person who I don't think can't granted, obviously, he has, size issues, and sometimes you can only do what you can do. But at least he competes defensively. You don't see people just like Kyrie just letting people walk by him.
No, he was trying yesterday. Now he got cooked by PG.
He got cooked. He tried.
Yeah.
It was possessions where Kyrie was actually Kawhi's defender. Yep. It looked like it was on purpose. So again, Kawhi will at
And that's
least
also why Kawhi had that 14-point third quarter. But.
it is. But like Kyrie would at least compete defensively, and Luka, the man's still 6'8". The man can still rebound. I just think a lot of Luka's defensive issues was the fact that, bro, if I gotta go out here, pass the ball around to everybody, and score 35, and get 10 rebounds, and you want me to guard someone, you have lost your mind. So now I think that Luka has possession where he can get rest. Kyrie obviously is Kyrie. Kyrie can also run offense. Obviously, I don't think you want Kyrie point guarding your team for a whole season. I mean, we've seen how that's gone. Excuse me, like we've seen how that's gone. But if Kyrie is your second option, there is no better second option for Luka Doncic and the way Luka Doncic plays than Kyrie Irving.
And I agree that was always the question: who could you pair with Luka? Who
I
could you
think
pair with Luka?
I actually think I've even said, like, even on Hoops and Brews, like the only person you could pair with Luka because of how he plays is like Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie is kind of like in that same mode. Obviously, he's not Kyrie Irving, but like he was kind of in that same mode. And the last thing I'll say is both of those guys, if I'm not mistaken, are top 5 in isolation points.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
So whatever team
And
playing them, lace your shoes up, brother.
God
Lace
bless.
your shoes up. All I would say is lace your shoes up.
Lace your shoes up and guard 3-point line. Because if you get, Green, Reggie Bullock, Theo Pinson, they was banging hella threes last night.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so you're going to have to give them dudes start hitting threes, then shit. All right. God bless. But I do think it's a good move. And I don't think, we can't ever say if Kyrie going to act up or not. But Kyrie also is trying to get a contract. So I do think Kyrie will be on the smooth and narrow, at least in the time being. And then, we only got 20-something games left. When you get into playoffs, the Western Conference is going to be a fucking bloodbath. I don't think there's really, of course we say Phoenix is the favorite, but everybody's got a chance, man. But let's get to the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, both Los Angeles teams made a lot of moves over these last 24 hours. We'll get to the Clippers later on, but let's start with the Lakers. The Lakers have finally offloaded Russell Westbrook, man, after all of the, it's just a bad fit since he got here 2 years ago. The whole thing with it, the whole, him getting into it with Darvin Ham. They said they had a little altercation on Tuesday during LeBron's record-setting night, and they said that's probably why AD looked disinterested on the bench, which I thought people were making way too much out of that video, like, with him being on the bench when LeBron broke the record. But I don't know what one is it.
He was losing.
Yeah, they were losing the game too. Which a lot of people forget. But with that, they finally offload him. They trade him to in a 3-team deal. The Lakers are getting D'Angelo Russell back as the Los Angeles Lakers. Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt are all Lakers. Russell Westbrook and a first rounder go to Utah. And of course, Russell Westbrook will reach the buyout agreement with the Utah Jazz. And Chris Haynes said that he is going to weigh all options. He's going to take a couple days. There's 3 teams that are interested, which is the Miami Heat, the Chicago Bulls, and the Los Angeles Clippers. But Paul George has been recruiting Russell Westbrook, and the Clippers have 0 point guard on their roster. So if I had to guess, all signs point to him not even leaving his hometown and just going down the hallway to the Clippers. So first rounder goes to Utah with Russell Westbrook. Mike Conley in the second rounder go to Minnesota. Another deal the Lakers made, Thomas Bryant to the Denver Nuggets for Davon Reed and 3 second rounders. This one was a weird one because I was like, why the hell would they trade him? But apparently, according to Chris Haynes, Ramona Shelburne, he asked for a trade. Now I understand we're in the play empowerment era, but we need to get some goddamn ground rules here. Like
as if he's gonna play over Jokic.
Yeah, all right. You're gonna get a lot of minutes.
You're gonna get a lot of playing time now, guy. You're gonna get so much playing time over Jokic. Okay.
Exactly. You couldn't get over Anthony Davis. How about with the best big man in the NBA?
All right.
2-time defending MVP. But he's in Denver now. The Lakers get some picks back. And the last deal of the day, which is hilarious because Pat Bev tweeted, man, Shams in his bag or some shit like that. And they sent my man to Orlando for Mo Bamba, which I think is a really great deal for them. Mo Bamba was ready to get the fuck up out of Orlando as he posted that picture of him with his movers, which had me dying. On his Instagram. And obviously, Pat Bev didn't check in with Austin Rivers because he is going to be bought out. And the rumor is he will be going back to Minnesota, man. I think these are all good moves for the Lakers. I think this team is much better than they were 24 hours ago. Problem being, this is a deal that probably should have happened a month ago. There's only 27 games left for the Lakers. LeBron's not playing tonight. They're playing against the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm gonna, I guess they're gonna lose this one. They have to play basically borderline perfect. They're 2 games out of the last play-in spot, and they're about 5 games out of the 6th spot to make the playoffs. They have the toughest remaining schedule out of anybody in the NBA. They have to play borderline perfect, and need some teams in front of them to lose. But I do think it's a good trades, all 3 of them. I think that Rob Pelinka finally did his fucking job. And if you're the Lakers, you just want to get a chance to have a 7-game series, because if you have LeBron James in a 7-game series, you give yourself a fighting chance, man. But what do you think about what the Lakers did?
I think what the Lakers did was great. The issue is they about to be 6 games under 500
Right.
with 20-some games left. But I do like the moves they did. I probably think my favorite pickup obviously D'Lo is D'Lo, but probably Jared Vanderbilt probably is one of my favorite pickups that they got. He's just a very versatile defender. He can, like, he was playing center in Utah. He can pretty much switch on pretty much whatever position you want. And I think the main issue with the Lakers over the past, I guess, 2 to 3 months has been defense. I mean, somehow they've been scoring points. I mean, Bron's averaging 30. You got AD averaging 30. That's 60 points right there, babe. Well, he's not averaging 30, but he will put up 30 on any given day. That's 60 points right there. So they're gonna. I mean, even Russ, he was giving you 17, 18. It's almost 80 points. So like scoring wasn't the issue, but they were also giving up like 120 points a night. So Jared Vanderbilt should help with that. You probably had Bomba. I mean, again, you could put you could realistically put, like, if you want to get like really weird, you could do like LeBron, Rudy, Vanderbilt, Bomba, and AD on the court all at one time if you want to do things like that. But I look at it even further, even like past this. Number one, look at the ages of the guys. They finally got some young guys. In there. Obviously, they don't have picks, so you have to like do your best navigating to find young guys, which they have found now. And also, if you look at the contracts for these guys, obviously D'Lo runs out this year. D'Lo was at $31 million. I'm assuming D'Lo is not getting another max contract. I would probably assume D'Lo will probably be around more like $21-22 million. So that's a guy that maybe, you see how it works throughout the rest of the year. If it doesn't work out, you don't retain him. If it does, maybe you can retain him on like $18 million. Malik Beasley, he also has a team option at $16 million for next year. If he plays great, pick it up. If he plays bad, decline it. Or maybe you decline it and re-sign him, because, again, it is LA. If you re-sign it maybe for 2 years and you play well in LA, look at Malik Monk, a guy, he came, played well in LA, set himself up to get, I think a 2-year deal from Sacramento. So even past this year, I think next year it'll even help them. Vanderbilt is on contract at $4 million for 2 years. So I think that I think that this deal is like kind of like Lakers free agency next summer, as well as like the trade deadline.
Kind of like the Norman Powell deal last year for the Clippers. Like, it was something that was going to impact this year.
Yeah. Like, I think it can help this year, but I definitely think next year it can help even more. But yeah, I like what they did. Like I said, it's just they're 5 games below 500 right now. They're going to be 6 because they're going to lose. I knew LeBron wasn't going to play, by the way. As soon as I saw LeBron in the club singing that Future song, I'm like,
I was like, he's not playing Thursday.
He's not playing. So
hangovers at 38. I can only imagine how long that lasts.
He's not playing. Yeah. So they're going to be 6 games under 500. Then they got the Warriors coming in after that, and they got somebody else coming in after the Warriors, who Blazers. So they could realistically lose all of those games.
Yeah. Then they play the Pelicans next week. Then they play Dallas Mavericks. They got the worst toughest schedule. Yeah.
They could lose all of those games.
But the worst part for them was these last 2 losses.
The last
2 teams there in front of them. Like, that was bad.
So
go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was gonna say that just I love the moves, but
I mean, and the thing about why I love it is because of Beasley and Vanderbilt and Bamba. I'm straight off D'Lo. Like, I understand you had to do what you had to do to get Russ off the books. D'Lo can have a game which is great, but he just is who he is. And we've seen that with every team that he's been on now. I mean, this is a team where the Warriors couldn't wait to get rid of this nigga. Like, they were just waiting for the period where they could trade him to get Andrew Wiggins.
I do get the point with D'Lo, though, because I think that what they need, like what I think a lot of the issue that you saw, especially in late games, which is why they couldn't win them, was they had nobody to take the shot.
This is true.
You either had to get a 3 or you either had to get to the rim. At least with D'Lo, he's somebody where you can trust him in those situations to hit those shots. Like, D'Lo has had a history of hitting game winners or big shots in the pass. He's somebody who, if you give him the ball, let's say you run a pick and roll, he can like get to the mid-range area, pull up, shoot a 3. And he's not really a point guard. He's more of a combo
He's
guard.
definitely a combo
So if you
guard.
want
Yeah.
to do a thing where you give LeBron the ball all day like it's 2012, you think he can play off ball and he's used to, not necessarily being right in a point guard spot on the floor. So that's why I do like the D'Lo deal. I get it. Again, like you couldn't get Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Not saying Kyrie Irving is D'Angelo Russell. I mean, well, D'Lo is Kyrie because he's not, but he can do
D'Lo
Kyrie
is we
type
got
things.
Kyrie Irving at home.
Exactly. Yes.
That's what D'Lo is.
DiGiorno's Kyrie.
DiGiorno's Kyrie. Exactly. That's exactly what D'Lo is, man. But let's go to the other Los Angeles team, the team that we cover, the Clippers, man. The Clippers had to make a move. The Clippers lost last night. Really didn't feel like they had a chance last night. It just felt like a lot of the Clipper home games I've been to this year, where they just like they flirt with coming back into the game, but they never really do. But they had a really good 6-game road trip. They went like 4-2, something like that. But in the West, you lose a game. They went from 4th seed, they back in the 6th now. So, but they made a couple deals here today. The Clippers traded the 2024 and 2025 second rounders to the Denver Nuggets for Bones Highland. Then they had a 3-team deal where they sent Luke Kennard to Memphis. Eric Gordon's going to the Clippers, and Danny Green will be going to the Rockets. And then their final deal was they traded Reggie Jackson to Charlotte for Mason Plumlee, which is a backup center for them. And of course, like I said earlier, and it looks like they might be getting Russell Westbrook once he gets the buyout from Utah, man. To me, I like all these moves. Now, this is all pending on if they get Russell Westbrook. If they do sign Russell Westbrook, I think Russell's biggest issue is trying to find a fit for him. But I do think this is a situation where he could fit with the Clippers because they desperately need somebody to get them easier shots. And I'm not one of the people who feel like Russ just stopped being able to play well. I think Russ still plays well. I mean, he had a good game on Tuesday in his last game with the Lakers. It was just a bad fit with LeBron because those both are two ball dominant guys. So, and of course, PG and Kawhi are ball dominant, but I feel like it'll be easier to work with those two. Paul George already has experience playing Russell Westbrook that'll help them, and I feel like Ty Lue will be a good coach for Russ as well. But they had to do something with the rest of the West getting better. Mason Plumlee is a good backup for them, and I really, really like the Eric Gordon signing. I'm glad that Eric Gordon is finally out of Houston. He looked like he was ready to get away from them damn young boys. John Wall was also part of the deal too. I forgot to mention that he went to Houston, which had everybody on the timeline laughing, but he is going to get bought out, so he will not be playing a game for the Rockets, and he's going to be in that middling point guard buyout tier that's going to be happening, man. But what's your thoughts on this for the Clippers?
I probably think the best deal was Mason Plumlee. I mean, I think they desperately. You've been to the game. They desperately need a backup center. Like you just can't run out Rocco at center in the
when
West.
Zubac sits down, it's curtains.
Yeah, and also Zubac picks up fouls. Like if Zubac gets in foul trouble, now you have basically nobody back there. You think about some of the guards in the West. If they look if Ja turn the corner and see Rocco back there, we getting a highlight. If Ja turn the corner and see Mason Plumlee back there, we still might get a highlight. But you got to think about this way more. And also Mason Plumlee can generate offense and things of that nature. So I think that's good. As far as Bones Highland goes, he kind of gives you, I guess, what Lou Will gave you a couple years ago. I think he can kind of be like, he can kind of, I guess, be in that vein for you. As far as Eric Gordon, I get the point. I think he's like the same player as Norman Powell, kind of honestly, to me. But I mean,
Norman been hooping though.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Norm has been hooping. You got another Norman Powell, I think. And I think the thinking is, I mean, it sucks to see Luke Kennard go because he can shoot so well. But I think the thinking is that you want to make sure you take away all defensive liabilities that could possibly be on the court. And I mean, Eric Gordon is 34. He's a veteran. He's played, conference finals basketball before.
He's a former Clipper too. People forget that.
Yeah, facts. He was, he was averaging 22 with Clippers. He was part of the Chris Paul deal.
Yep. And he might be rejuvenated playing with a contender now.
For sure. So I like it for those reasons. So yeah, I like what they did. I mean, but Plumlee to me was the biggest. Everything else is like, yeah, that's cool, that's great. It's just icing on the cake. But the Plumlee deal literally fulfilled a need to me personally. And as far as the point guard thing goes, I don't think I get it, but I don't think that's now I get it because they literally don't have one on the roster. But I don't think that's as big of a deal as other people make it out to be because when it comes down to crunch time, they're not gonna use a point guard like
Yeah,
a
that's
point guard
true.
any fucking way. Kawhi gonna have. I mean, I remember when they got Rondo the ball. They traded for
I
Rondo a couple
almost
years ago.
forgot about Rondo.
Rondo
Yeah,
literally did not play point guard the whole time he came here. He
I
came here and
forgot
stood in the
about
corner.
that.
He
Yeah.
was shooting spot up threes. So like the point guard thing with the Clippers has always been an extremely overrated concept to me because they're not gonna use their point guards like point
Well, do you
guards
think
anyway.
Russ brings anything to them if he comes?
I guess he could bring what you wanted John Wall to bring, which is grab the ball and run up the court really fast and pass it to somebody. But
Yeah.
like, do you yes, he would change their pace, he would give them some transition, but like, do you really need that though? Like,
I mean, it can help.
but I don't actually think you need that. Like, I just don't think you need that personally. Again, like they're gonna let Kawhi and PG ISO a lot and dribble the ball anyway. And also, I love the way Terrence Mann has been playing. I rock with how Terrence Mann
Yeah,
has been playing.
T-Man had like 23 last night.
I rock the way he's been playing. Like,
Yeah.
granted, he hasn't been a knockdown shooter, but he's been solid. He's been conducting the offense well. He's been pushing the pace when he has a chance to push the pace. He's also 6'6", so he's big. He can guard. I like what Terrence Mann gives you. So I'm not somebody who's just so gung ho that think they just need a point guard. I've never, ever been on that wave. But I like the deals though.
Yeah, I do think it would have been a blowout. T-Man had the game he had last week. But yeah, I mean it's gonna be interesting. I do feel like Russ is kind of like on his last leg. Well, if he does come here or any other team, I feel like he's going to. And Russ always gives his all. So I don't want to act like Russ doesn't give his all. By the way, the smear campaign that the Lakers are doing on Russ is very nasty business. Y'all got to stop that shit, man. I think David Minimum said on NBA today that they was like, oh, it was like a vampires out the locker room, like. We haven't heard any complaints about Russ ever being a bad teammate. Like, you can just let him walk and just don't be nasty with that. But there's a lot of other smaller deals. We're not going to go all of them specifically. We're just going to pick which ones we think what's the best out of these smaller deals. Josh Hart to the Knicks, Cam Reddish, Ryan Arcidiacono is another player. I don't know how to pronounce his name. For protected 2023 first rounder to Portland. Mike Muscala will be a backup center for Boston. He'll be going from OKC to the Celtics for Justin Jackson and 2 future draft picks. Pelicans trade Devontae Graham and 4 second rounders to the Spurs for Josh Richardson. The Raptors trade Kim Birch and a protected 2024 first rounder for 2 future second rounders to the San Antonio Spurs for Jakob Poeltl. Gary Payton 2 is back in Golden State for 5 second rounders. Of course, he was the second 5 second rounders came in a 3-team deal that sent Sadiq Bey to Atlanta and Wiseman to Detroit. And the last one would be the Sixers trade Matisse Thybulle to Portland. Jalen McDaniels is going to Philly, and the Hornets get a 2023 second rounder. So out of the smaller deals, which one do you think is going to be the most impactful?
Well, two things. One, I think the Mike Conley going to Minnesota is great for Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
I think because I never thought D'Lo was the point guard, bro. There was D'Lo. Okay, that time in the playoffs when they lost 2 20-point leads.
Yeah.
Your point guard's supposed to not let you lose 2 20-point leads.
They should have beat Memphis.
They should have beat. Mike Conley is not letting you lose 2 20-point leads in the same game. Nope. It's not happening. So I think Mike
Is
Conley.
Karl-Anthony Towns coming back this year or is he cooked for this year?
I don't know. I think he's coming back at some point.
Yeah, okay.
But I just like Mike Conley, especially next to Anthony Edwards. I think you need more of a passing point guard, more of a table setter next to Anthony Edwards, and also with Rudy Gobert, and and he's played with Rudy and with Cat. I think Mike Conley being there will help them all. Probably out of the trades you just mentioned, I think Josh Hart reunited in New York is great. With Jalen Brunson, his college teammate. Also, that's just that screams Tibbs.
Yeah,
like 100%. Josh Hart, it just screams Tom Thibodeau.
He's definitely a Tibbs player.
He's gonna play him 60 minutes.
Him and Jalen Brunson used to play together in college.
Yeah, like that just screams Tibbs. And then for his sake, the James Wiseman to Detroit. Honestly, I wish it was somewhere else because I love Jalen Duren. And I want Jalen Duren to get as much playing time. And I think he could be like a Dwight Howard type of player. But number one for the Warriors, it saves them $113 million.
Yeah, that's the big part of it, right?
So it really ain't. It's no brainer. I'm not paying $113 million for James Wiseman. Shout out James Wiseman, but I'm not paying that to you when I already got to pay all this extra money as well. And yeah, so
and I was gonna say they said that he will be starting in Detroit.
He'll be starting.
Yeah, he'll be starting.
Yeah.
That's what
So
Chris Haynes said.
So I like that for him. You know, it just sucks he got picked by the Warriors. Obviously, the Warriors had a different timeline than what he had, but I'm happy that he can go somewhere and get some playing time, and like we can at least see what he got. And Cam Reddish is now with the Blazers. If this
Yeah.
if this does not work in Portland,
Stop
I
bringing
don't
up
I don't
Cam
want it. I
Reddish.
stop. Delete all the high school footage. Delete Anthony Edwards saying Cam Reddish is cold. Delete all the high school footage. And Tybal going to the Sixers is good. I think you gave this not the Sixers, but Tybal going to Portland.
Portland.
I mean, you lose GP, but I don't think GP ever really actually fit what the Blazers was doing anyway. He
He
didn't have the
deserves
same.
that bag.
Yeah,
That's how
like
I feel.
I do too. Which he didn't have the same impact that he had last year with Golden State. But I think Portland has needed wing defenders for the longest time. And you bring Tybal, you bring Cam Reddish. Hopefully, he can come in and be more of a three and D guy. So I would say those are the deals. The Conley to the Wolves, Wiseman to the Pistons, and then the two wings that the Blazers picked up.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Conley as well. I do think that's gonna be something that's gonna help Anthony Edwards tremendously. Like I say, he's already played with Gobert, so there's gonna be a little vet presence there, which a young team can also always needs. But my favorite probably have to be the Josh Hart deal to the Knicks, and I think this is a golden opportunity for the Knicks to take advantage of that top 6 spot that's going to be dropped from the Brooklyn Nets. Now, I don't think the Nets are going to drop all the way out the play-in because, like we said, I think they have a competitive roster enough to where they can stay top 10. I believe it might be 9 or 10, but I believe they'll be in there. But they're definitely going to drop out of the top 6, and I think there's an opportunity for the Knicks to get up in at least that 5 seeds. I feel like Cleveland's going to bump up to 4 now for sure to join Philly and Milwaukee and Boston in the home court aspect. But I really like that. I think it's a good deal for them. It matches with them. There was a rumors there about Zach LaVine, which if anybody I knew them shits wasn't true. Like there was a whole bunch of Bulls fans freaking out on my timeline. There's one thing I know about Jerry Reinsdorf. This motherfucker's cheap. If you think he was gonna take a guy who he's paid more than anybody in the history of both franchises he owns and ship him, you got another thing coming. But I think it's a good move for them. And I like Gary Payton to the Warriors too, but I was hoping they would have got OG and Anunoby. That was the rumor. Sham said it looked like that was going to happen.
I don't know what happened with the Raptors.
Well, they said Masai decided to keep their guys at the last minute. So I don't know how that's going to work during the offseason. We know Fred VanVleet will be a free agent. So I was really shocked that they added because everybody was acting like the Raptors were going to break everything up, man. But was there anything you had to say before we get you up out of here, man?
Nah. Yeah,
Are you guys doing another episode on Who's the Brews, another breakdown? Or
we gonna do a breakdown eventually once I fully get my thoughts together. We gonna do one, but nah, I just think this playoffs would be very very interesting,
especially the West.
Especially the West. And Ja, are you still good? I love you. Are you still good? Are you still good in the West, Ja?
CJ McCollum had one of the best tweets last night. He's all this happened because Ja said they was good in the West. He got blitz. The Grizzlies got blitz, man. Like I can see them losing in the first round, depending on who they play.
For sure.
I can see that happening. But thanks, Pat, for joining us. Joining me as always, man. It's always good to talk hoops with you, man.
My dog.
So we're gonna get into the other event that's going on this week that I feel like is actually going under the radar, which is fucking crazy. The Super Bowl. Super Bowl 57 will be live from Scottsdale, Arizona. It will be the NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles going up against the AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs, man. This is the third time in the last, really since the new millennium, that we've had the number one seed and both conferences go head to head with each other. The other two was, I think it was Denver and Carolina in 2015. And I think it was 2013. It was the Seahawks and the Broncos. But also, number one offense going against the number one defense. By the way, the number one defense has won all three of those matchups by a combined 30 points per game. So that's going to be interesting, man. So I'm going to get into my top 3 storylines going into the Super Bowl, and I'm going to give my full preview of who I think is going to win the biggest game of the year, man. So let's start with my number 3 storyline, Andy Reid, man. My guy, Andy Reid. Always been an Andy Reid fan, man. He is in his third Super Bowl, fourth Super Bowl now. This is his third Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs, and he had one Super Bowl appearance back with the Philadelphia Eagles in 2004, where they lost to the dynasty setting New England Patriots. That was a game that Donovan McNabb quit on the Eagles, and T.O. went out there and balled out. But I digress. This is gonna be a big story because he is already in the Hall of Fame, but he can kind of even get himself his own Hall of Fame room and win win two Super Bowl championships by beating a team that he was at. And I think he's the first coach to make the Super Bowl against a team that he spent 10 years against. So this is going to be a fun storyline. Also, the side note storyline, which everybody's making a big deal about, which I really don't care that too much about, but it's a side note, the Kelsey versus Kelsey Bowl with Travis Kelsey versus brother Jason Kelsey. Now, the Kelsey mama has won because of both her boys in the Super Bowl. And honestly, of course, you don't want to see any of your kids lose, but whoever loses this game will be fine because both of the Kelsey brothers are Super Bowl champions. Jason Kelsey won 5 years ago with the Eagles, and of course, we all know about the Chiefs winning 3 years ago. So the loser of this, of course, he's going to be hurt, but ultimately he'll be fine because he's the Super Bowl champion. So that's one. Number two is Patrick Mahomes' legacy. And we're already talking about legacy with this kid. He's only in his fifth season. He has been to the AFC Championship game 5 years in a row. This is his third Super Bowl appearance. Everybody, like I said on the show last week, it's going to be hard to catch Brady, in rings. But if he wants to have a chance to catch Tom Brady with rings, he has to win this one by getting his second when he's 27 years old. We can always say with Brady won so fast, winning 3 championships in his first 5 seasons. He went a whole ass decade without winning one. So you can never just rely on just your dominance in the NFL. So if he wants to have a chance to be even close to Brady's 7 rings, he's got to win this one. And if he wins this, I'm pretty sure he's going to be named league MVP tonight with the NFL honors being taped, and I think they'll be shown on Saturday. So I think he'll be named MVP this week. This weekend he'll be a 2-time MVP, 2-time Super Bowl champion. If he wins Super Bowl MVP, 2-time MVP, now he's already putting himself in the elite class with only 5 years into his career. So I feel like legacy-wise that this is going to be something to watch. And also legacy-wise because if he loses, now you're 1-2 in the Super Bowl. I know it's crazy when you talk about somebody as great as Pat that we bring something against them, but at the end of the day, like my man Herm Edwards said, you play to win the game. And if he loses 2 Super Bowl championships, that's going to be a different discussion too. So I really think Patrick Mahomes' legacy, it's on the line. It's way too early for anything being on the line, but he can definitely enhance it this week. And it can take a small hit this weekend as well. But the number one storyline here is black people. We got 2 black starting quarterbacks in the Super Bowl for the first time in NFL history. Of course, we know about 16 years ago, it was the first black head coach Super Bowl with Tony Dungy and my Bears, Lovie Smith. We're not going to get into that game ended, but this is big history here. And I was tired about the debate I've seen on Twitter. Is Patrick Mahomes really black? He has a black father. Shut your mouth. He's black. He's also been claiming it. I'm glad that he hasn't run away from the issue. He even talked about it with Michael Irvin doing NFL Super Bowl Media Day this week, saying that, he loves to carry on this tradition. He's feeling good about representing his people, and also gave a big shout out to, guys like Warren Moon and Doug Williams and all the great black quarterbacks, man. And I just think that's going to be a great storyline, a great way to bring in, Black History Month. I think it's going to be fire. You have 2 great guys, 2 guys that, not only are great quarterbacks, but just great dudes in Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, man. So those are the 3 big storylines I'm looking for in this game, coming into this game. Now, let's get into the actual preview, man. I've got 5 things about how this game, how both these teams can win. I think the main battle here in the Super Bowl is the battle of the trenches, man. I think that's been the main storyline, not just in this Super Bowl, but the entire NFL playoffs in the AFC and the NFC is winning the trenches battle with the offensive line and defensive line. You got a great offensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles and a pretty good offensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs. But the battle here is the defensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Chiefs have a decent line, Clark, my man Jones, all those guys, they have been playing really good ball and really got to Joe Burrow 2 weeks ago. Now, the difference is, even when healthy, now we all know the Bengals were missing 3 starting offensive linemen 2 weeks ago, and that's why Joe Burrow got sacked all those times. But even when healthy, that Bengals line is not touching this offensive line that the Philadelphia Eagles have with the Lane Johnson, with the Jason Kelsey. They just got dogs on that front line as well as they have on the defensive line. Now, the last time the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, they got blown out by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because of the Tampa Bay defense, the quick-speeded linebackers and defensive line got to Patrick Mahomes, made his life a living hell. And I feel like the blueprint to beating Patrick Mahomes is sort of like the same blueprint to beating Tom Brady. If you can put him on his ass, you can beat him. And this is the defensive line for the Eagles, who has 70 sacks this season, which is third all time. So if you can get guys like, Hassan Riddick and guys like Brandon Graham, who can get to Patrick Mahomes, that is the best way for the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game. So that's something I'm going to be looking at. The number one thing here for the Kansas City Chiefs, they've got to stop the run. They got to stop Miles Sanders for getting busy. They got to stop that entire running offense, Jalen Hurts and everything that, Nick Sirianni has calls over there. And they need to make this game to make Jalen Hurts throw the football. Now, I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. A lot of people, when they say you got to make him throw the football, make it seem like he's bad. No, Jalen Hurts can make throws. But the strength of Jalen Hurts is when the offense is flowing in general, when the running game is going. So they need to make Jalen Hurts one-dimensional and make him be in a shootout with Patrick Mahomes. That's what really put this in the Chiefs' favor, because if you're going into a shootout, it's great to have the guy who's got the biggest gun, and that is Patrick Mahomes, man. So that's the number one key for me for the Chiefs defensively, is to slow down that Philadelphia Eagles run game. And back to my third thing goes back to Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has got to be great on third down. Now, he's been good on third down these playoffs. He's been good on third down all season. That is a trend that needs to continue in this game, because one thing you cannot do, leave points on the board when you're going against the Kansas City Chiefs. So they need to be able to, Jalen has to be efficient, whether it's running or whether it's passing, to make sure he's good on third down. They're going to do what they're going to try to do to try to take A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith out of this game. I do think Dallas Goedert is going to be a big X factor here in this game to be able to get this going. So I really feel like you got to be accurate on third down for them to win this football game. And another thing here, Eagles got to win the turnover battle. When you're going up against a guy like Patrick Mahomes, you got to give him to turn the ball over to give yourself more of a chance. If you look at the times that Patrick Mahomes has lost playoff games, he's only lost 3 of them. But the 3 times that he's lost, he has turned the ball over. So in order for them to win that, they've got to do this. The Eagles have a very great secondary. They've had 17 interceptions this year. They've got a really good defense in general. The number one defense of football right now, and that's going to be key. But the X factor here, not just for the Eagles, but also for the Kansas City Chiefs, is Mr. Travis Kelce, man. Travis Kelce just seems to be open all of the fucking time. This Eagles defense cannot allow that. You cannot allow Travis Kelce to be open and get busy like he did 2 weeks ago in the AFC Championship game. We had 8 receptions, 78 yards, and a touchdown. If they can slow him down, if they can take him out of this football game and make guys, like Marquez Valdez-Scantling, guys like Juju Smith-Schuster beat you, you give yourself a much better opportunity. If you're the Chiefs, if you keep feeding it to him, that opens up everything for your offense, man. And I do think that those are the keys for both of these teams to win. Now, as far as my prediction, I think this is going to be a phenomenal high-scoring game. And like I said, the last couple times that the number one scoring defense went against the number one scoring offense, this number one scoring defense has won both times. Of course, we can never forget about the Legion of Boom, straight up taking out Peyton Manning and that powerful Denver Broncos offense. And of course, also happened with the Chiefs a couple years ago. The number one defense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers took Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs out of it, man. So I do think roster by roster, the Eagles have the better roster. I would not be stunned if they win this game by double digits. Having said all of that, one thing I am never doing, and I said last week that I'm officially giving Patrick Mahomes the Tom Brady treatment. He could lose. He's lost Super Bowl before, but I got to see it. I am picking the Kansas City Chiefs to win this one. It kind of feels like they're the underdog going into this game. From everything I've read, and seen on TV, that a lot of people are going with the Philadelphia Eagles. Going to take the Kansas City Chiefs in a high-scoring affair. I think this will be settled by a field goal. I would not be surprised if this game goes to overtime to make it only the second game in Super Bowl history that went to overtime. Of course, the first one was the historic 28-3 comeback by the New England Patriots against the Atlanta Falcons. Sorry, Atlanta sports fans, if you don't want to relive that. But I'm going to have the Chiefs winning this one 37 to the Eagles 34 with a game-winning field goal. And Mr. Patrick Mahomes will win his second Super Bowl MVP after he wins the second league MVP this weekend. But I think this is going to be a phenomenal game. I cannot wait to watch this on Sunday. And, of course, Rihanna's going to be performing at halftime. If you're somebody who just a casual watcher, with Super Bowl brings a lot of casual watchers. You know, a lot of people just come to watch the commercials. She's performing. She's going to be performing at halftime. I think it's going to be an overall great night, man. So that's what I got for the Super Bowl, man. We'll see if I'm right. Now, last topic before we do our Goofy Mog of the week. The offseason will be officially beginning on Monday, which means you're going to be seeing a lot of Chicago Bears talk, not just in the media, but on this show, because the Bears will be the number one talked about team with the number one draft pick, the most cap space in the league starting on Monday. But the offseason's already getting in motion. Of course, we talked about D'Amico Ryan becoming a new head coach of the Houston Texans last week. We talked about Sean Payton becoming a new head coach of the Denver Broncos last week. We see some player moving on right. Derek Carr has been granted permission to talk to other teams, and it seems like he's going to be a New Orleans Saint. Both teams, the Saints and the Vegas Raiders, have already agreed on trade compensation. Derek Carr spent the last 2 days in New Orleans. His meeting with Dennis Allen, the head coach, and the rest of New Orleans Saints brass went up to 10:30 p.m., and he was also back at the facility today. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport feels like that a deal is imminent, even though it's not done, set in stone. Everything is leading up to this. So I feel like, honestly, this is a good spot for Derek Carr. With Tom Brady leaving the NFC South, this already terrible division is gotten worse, and I feel like it's a prime time for the Saints, who are a good football team, but has been missing a quarterback ever since Drew Brees retired. Derek Carr isn't great, obviously, and he's not good. But I don't blame this past season on the Raiders that much on Derek Carr. I blame that more on Josh McDaniels being a terrible coach more than anything. But I feel like this is some place that will be great for the Saints, and just a new situation for Derek Carr might help him. And in the NFC, all the major quarterbacks are in the AFC. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, like all the big guns in the AFC. Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the NFC. You got Dak is still around. Derek Carr's coming into a situation of Justin Fields, if he's given the right weapons, can be in that NFC hot tier. This is a perfect situation for Derek Carr to get the best out of him, I feel like. So this is going to be a move that I feel like is going to happen right away. And we're going to get this NFL offseason started right away, man. So I'm looking forward to that, man. But we're going to close this episode out with my Goofy Mock of the week. I went back and forth, man. Had a lot of candidates the week could have had. I'm going to get this to my Chicago Bulls, man. And I'm going to get this more to to Jerry Reinsdorf. Now, Arturas Karnisovas, the Bulls did not make any trades today. They're one of only two teams to not make a move in the NBA trade-wise. Said they're standing pat at the deadline. Now, one thing I know as a fan of two Jerry Reinsdorf-led teams was I was watching Arturas' press conference. A lot of Bulls fans were upset and was like, "Oh, Arturas is a fraud." Da 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 da. I'm gonna shoot Arturas some bail here. I know it's not popular, but I'm gonna shoot him some bail because one thing I know, this is not on him. This is on Jerry Reinsdorf. I saw an angry, frustrated man at that press conference today. He kept banging. He kept banging on the table like every 2 seconds. He looked sick to his stomach. It's the same look I've seen many, many, many times. Just a little further out in Chicago on the south side on 35th and Shields, where Rick Hahn has that same goddamn look every time he has to come to the podium and talk about, when we think we're good with our team. If we just stay healthy, we have a good pitching rotation, if we can have our guys play better, we can compete for a World Series championship. It's bullshit. Both of those guys know it's bullshit. It's the fact that old man Jerry was like, look, I gave you the money to go pay Zach. I gave you the money to pay DeMar DeRozan. I let you do what you wanted to do. I fired my guys and John Paxson and Gar Forman. You think I'm finna open a checkbook again? Ha! You better make this fucking work. And that's what it comes down to. One thing that I'm tired about is Jerry Reinsdorf and really all Chicago sports teams. Chicago is the only city, and I'm going to take the Bears out of this because the Bears, their problem has never been spending money. The Bears always spend money. Their problem is they've been spending in the wrong fucking places. So I'm going to take the Bears out of this one for a minute. But the Chicago White Sox, the Chicago Bulls, the Chicago Blackhawks, and the Chicago Cubs are cheap ass organizations that are run like fucking small market organizations, and it's fucking tired. And you have a fan base just as a city. Chicago, I believe, now of course I'm biased, is the best sports town in America, bar none. When there's a good team in the city, you can just feel it. The energy, everybody rallies around them. And the fans deserve better than what these bullshit owners are giving us. And especially Jay Reinsdorf, who owns 2 of the teams. The Bulls would be a mediocre franchise that nobody would care about if they weren't blessed with Michael Jordan. And you can just really see that more and more now with how he's been handling. This team has not really been shit since Jordan left out the fucking door 25 years ago now, which is crazy. It's been that long. Half of, almost a quarter of a century now when you've been without Michael Jordan. And, you had a couple years where Derrick Rose was healthy, but besides that, it's just been a shit show. And I feel bad for me. I feel bad for the fans, but I hate to say it, Bulls fans, nothing is going to change until, Jay Reinsdorf isn't the owner anymore. I'm not going to say what I thought was on my mind. I'm going to, God forgive me for what came to my head, what I was thinking. But what I was going to say nicely, until he is not in the situation anymore, the Bulls are not going to change, man. And the Chicago sports fans deserve better. And, the Bulls are going to try to make a run to, I don't know, wherever the fuck. I think there'll be a play-in team. I'm not expecting much out of that. With Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, and who knows what the hell's going to happen in the offseason now, because now they got a bad cap situation. And, Artur's up there talking about giving Vooch an extension. But my advice to you Bulls fans is just hope that Ryan Poles gets this Bears offseason, knocks it out the park. We still have Justin Fields. Besides, I have nothing to say about that, man. The Chicago Bulls continue to be mired in mediocrity, man. So that's all I've got for y'all. I'm actually surprised we get this episode under an hour and a half, man. But very exciting trade deadline. I'm really excited to see how these last 20-something games are going to go before we get into the NBA playoffs. We got the All-Star Weekend coming up next week. We're going to recap the Super Bowl next week. Everybody have fun with your family and friends. Eat a lot of fucking food. I know I'm going to be taking my cheat day on Sunday. I'll be eating a lot of crap food, and I'll be drinking a lot of goddamn alcohol. I hope you do the same. If you're a Chiefs fan, if you're an Eagles fan, you're not going to really have a weekend of peace. I'm glad I don't have that pressure to deal with, man. So I hope everybody enjoys it. We'll be back next Thursday to recap the Super Bowl and get you ready for All-Star Weekend, man. Y'all know to follow me on Twitter at BarbChairScott, Twitter and Instagram. Follow H&B Media at H&B Media TV on Twitter, at H&B Media on Instagram. Subscribe to the Barber's Chair Patreon, patreon.com/Barber's Chair Network. Visit the BCNet.com. We'll holla.
Getting paper on these player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not